Hello, everybody. Today is Wednesday, December 17th. It is 6:16 in the evening, and this is a Finance and Facilities meeting. We do not have any voting members online, so I'm going to skip ahead and not read we have permission to have remote participation. We do have City Councilor Julie Flowers online. However, she's in our Zoom meeting, but she's not a voting member. Okay, in person, we have on the committee Dr. Jeffrey Silva.
Here.
Ms. Kim Coelho.
Here.
Resident Representative Extraordinaire, Mr. Manzo.
Here.
From our administrative staff, we have Ms. Puglisi.
Here.
Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Cushing. Here. Food Service Director, Christina Leal.
Here.
Queen Leal. We have Aaron Brown.
Here.
And anybody else? Nobody else. Okay. All right. So, Ms. Puglisi, would you like to go to the next slide, please? Here's our agenda for the evening. First motion. I'm looking for a motion to accept our meeting minutes from our last meeting, November 19th.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Silva. Thank you, Mr. Manzo. Any comments, corrections, omissions? No. Seeing none, there's a motion on the table. All those in favor of accepting the meeting minutes? That passes 4-0. Our next item is a review of our B&G report. So it was in your packet, and now it's jumping on the screen. This is a non-voting item. However, I think we're going to go pretty quickly this evening, so I'll ask around the room. Does anybody have any questions or concerns with the B&G report? Yes, Miss Emma Puglisi.
I just wanted to make note that after we had last met, we had a report of an uptick in rodent activity at the Ayers Elementary School. It's noted in this report, and so pursuant to the permission given by this body and school committee, they have implemented in the way that they were approved the additional use of rodenticide trapping and tipper buckets, and that will be in place through January 2nd. Prior to the students returning from winter break, and at which point they will be able to hopefully then provide us with some additional feedback, but just wanted to make sure that this policy was made aware or this body was made aware that that had happened.
Right, so remember we voted that, and Dr. Silva, your little tippy bucket thing is in there.
Oh, really?
You made the big time. That's your parting present.
Are they named after them? Are they silver buckets?
Tippy Silva buckets.
Silver buckets.
I'll see if I can amend the report in that manner. Okay, so this non-voting item. Our next item on our agenda, yes, Dr. Silva?
Could I just ask a question about, there's a number of different repairs in this B&G report. Were these all expected in terms of in budget?
Yes, we're on budget. Some things are not necessarily right. We don't know it's going to be that exact repair, but we're, appropriately spent of our budget for repairs. And quite a bit of this work we're able to do within district labor and city labor, which is additionally beneficial as well.
Great, thank you.
Okay, one last trip around the room. Okay, I see no more questions about the B&G report. Our next item on the agenda is a presentation from our food service director. Although I just want to, say it is the holiday season and you guys make really good cookies. I do see Emma brought us cookies though. So I was really kind of hoping for some food service cookies, but the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for having me here tonight. We had a very busy fall. A lot of reviews took place in the food service department, which I will go over, but first I want to show a glimpse of where our participation is compared to last year. So this slide shows our breakfast participation by each school. We've done really good. We've gone up to 30% at some of the elementary schools. We've increased at our middle school at 3.5% over last year for breakfast and 4% at the high school. So our overall participation for breakfast as a district is 19.6. it's not very high, but when I started in 2018, it was 9%. So I will definitely take that, and hopefully it will continue to grow. Some things that we are doing when we return after break, we're doing hot chocolate every Thursday morning to try and drive students in to get them to get a nice warm hot breakfast. So that is our breakfast participation, and then the next one is our lunch participation. And as a district, we're at 63%. We've gone up in all areas. Our combined elementary schools have gone up 4.5% over last year, 11% at the middle school, 10% at the high school. So an overall district is over at 9%. We're trying to give a good variety, especially at the middle school and high school, to get students to come in and have lunch with us. And we hope to continue to grow and see that number go up as well. So, like I said, we have been very busy. We had 2 reviews this year. Our first one was our procurement review, which the state comes in and we have very vigorous guidelines that we have to follow for all purchasing. So the reviewer looks at all of our invoices, make sure all the funds are being spent accordingly, according to their guidelines, the USDA and DESE. So they looked at the entire month of July, every invoice that was sent, and then they drilled down and made sure that everything we were purchasing was a bid item, made sure that we procured all the items that we bought correctly. They make sure that all the formal procurement bids are done correctly. We are part of a buying collaborative. I am fortunate or unfortunate to be the bid coordinator on the buying collaborative as well. So it just is a combination of 11 different districts. So we have more buying power when we go to our vendors and say we need so much of X to hopefully get a better price. So we did very well. He was here on Wednesday, November 5th. It was our first procurement review since 2017. The only finding was that we had a couple items that were off bid. It was during the summertime, so instead of getting different vendors in, I had paper bags and whatnot from our grocery vendor. So that was the only thing that we kind of got dinged on our procurement review. The next slide is the procurement decision tree, and this is how we have to follow everything that we purchase in the food, school, nutrition department. If it is under $100,000, if it's an informal or a formal procedure where I had said we go out to bid, and we go out to bid for grocery, bread, milk, ice cream, and paper products within that buying collaborative. And then if it's smaller and just in the district, if it's a micro purchase or a small purchase, but all of it needs to be approved and procured correctly in order for us to use it, because it is all USDA funds. Then we had the big review, which was our administrative review. We had the state here on site for 3 days. They were here Monday, December 8th through December 10th. They look at everything and anything. They looked at our breakfast service lines, our lunch. They stood behind the cashiers, making sure we are serving reimbursable meals, making sure that everything is portioned correctly. It was actually very cute at Hannah. One of the kids said, look, I have my fruit and vegetables. It was at the perfect time because we say it 90 times a day. They check our production records to make sure that what our production record says matches what our claim is saying. They're checking our nutritionals to make sure our meal patterns are all in alignment, to make sure we're serving the right different categories of vegetables, make sure our calories within the time or the frame, our fats, our sodium, and now most recently our sugars for breakfast. They started tracking this year as well. They look at all of our safety logs, serve safe, choke safe, fire extinguisher training, all of our temp logs. So there's a lot that they are doing while they are on site. The last time we did have a review was in 2020, right before COVID shut down. So it was, I said, the best time ever because they were just wanting to get out of here. This review was very positive. I have not gotten the official cap yet, but I believe there's only 4 findings. One of which is the banana peppers were not from the United States. All product that we do purchase needs to be USA, made in the USA, or it needs to be an exemption form, which I did not have for that. Our meal modification policy needed to be updated. I had last year's form. Hannah Elementary needs a water station inside the cafeteria, and our wellness policy needs to be updated, which Jody and I are already working on, and we are part of a JSI and have a wellness coach. So all in all, it was an excellent review. I'm very happy with the results after 3 days of getting everything drilled down. So I will definitely take that.
All right, don't leave that slide yet, please.
Okay.
When you say the word policy, my ears like jump up. And so is that like an internal document for your department, or is that one of quote-unquote my policies that we will have to bring forward once you guys update it? It'll come to us to vote on.
Yes, there is the standards that DESI now has that everything needs to be incorporated in the wellness policy. So we have an assessment that we need to do every 3 years to review it and bring it to school committee. So because we haven't done it, we are doing a whole thing, so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The next one is our revolving account. So, as you know, food service is a self-supporting department. So we do take care of everything in our department, our labor, our benefits, the food, anything breaks or fixes our equipment. So this is some of the things that I am anticipating using our money for this year. Centerville needs a new walk-in fridge and freezer. We are planning on replacing that over February break, if the weather cooperates. Hannah as well needs one, so that will be replaced over the summer. Hannah also needs a new serving line, which is not on here, but I will be adding that as well. And then the employee benefits costs will hit in January as well. So some of the things that is allowable expenses in the food service department is food and beverage costs, obviously, labor costs, equipment, small wares each year when I have to do stock up with all that fun stuff for the kitchen, staff training and professional development. It needs to be necessary, reasonable, documented. It needs to meet all requirements. Some non-allowable expenses are anything not related to meal food service. Staff can't, if you're not working in the nutrition department, you don't get lunch or anything. Any capital equipment outside the school nutrition department cannot be used as well. So anything that we do have for funds needs to get reinvested back into the program. So we are really looking at kind of doing some upgrades and stuff in our department.
I just want to commend Christina and her team. This is by no stretch a small undertaking, and I do not want to understand the absolute accomplishment that having two really fabulous audits come in. Everything that her and her team does is governed by either state law, federal law, a combination in thereof, and they are rigorous. They're very specific, and Christina and her team really knocked it out of the park. So I cannot say enough wonderful things. I want to make sure that she gets her proper accolades. This is absolutely no small undertaking. The binders of documentation that she provided each of the auditors with is, was impressive in and of itself. And then you add to that the fact that we are serving hundreds and thousands of students a day is really it's so wonderful. And so, right, there's a couple, before we go into any audit, I told Christina this, I was like, it's their job to find stuff, because as fabulous as we are, we can always do better. And so, Christina did highlight a couple of the areas, which were the only areas, where they said, you could do that a little bit better, or we can do that. And we're always striving for continual improvement. So it was a really welcome process. But I mean, on the hierarchy of the things they could have found, they found something because they have to, because that's their job and because we want to do better. But really an incredible job by Christina and her team. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. You are not getting off the hot seat, though. All right, Dr. Cushing, I believe I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Emma said, having been on the front lines of one of these audits, and then in DESI detention, I will say it was really great to meet with the auditor. It was who I've had conversations with previously. It was really great to see how well prepared our department was, and to also see the work that they're doing on a daily basis with such high participation. So those things coupled together, there's no reason to rehash what Emma said, but it was such a relief to be so well prepared.
Awesome. So, team, we normally have Miss Leal, maybe at the beginning of the year, kind of a little forward, like what do we anticipate for the year? And sometimes we have you at the end of the year. So this is a bonus in the middle of the year.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to open the floor, whether anybody has any questions in general or specifically about what we just saw. I have some, but I will wait to call upon myself. Yes, Ms. Coelho.
I just wanted to know if maybe you had any ideas on why Hannah might be down on both breakfast and lunch?
I think breakfast I could probably answer to. They're very strict as far as getting the kids into the classroom, especially in the morning because there was, for whatever reason, so we do shut breakfast off as soon as the bell rings, that they need to get up into their classroom. Lunch, I am not so sure why, because last year it was very high in participation for lunch. And one of the things too is the fluctuation in numbers, so I'm not even sure what the enrollment may have been. So that's one of the reasons the middle school is so high, is so many more students now than we had last year.
I have a follow-up to that one, and then I'll call on you, Dr. Silva. When you say they're strict about getting the children in the classroom, does that mean we're no longer doing breakfast in the classroom?
We don't do breakfast in the class, like they can get breakfast and bring it to, but when I hear breakfast in the classroom, I think us delivering to the classrooms, which
no.
we do not do. But they can, if a child comes in and needs to something, they can definitely take it to the classroom.
Okay. So, and still, the numbers in that place are down. Okay, thanks. Yes, Dr. Silva?
I'm just curious about, can you comment on, like, feedback from the kids, what the favorite breakfast is and the favorite lunch?
So breakfast, it's different at different levels. The breakfast is probably going to be French toast. They definitely like all the sweet stuff. We actually did eggs this year. We do eggs, scrambled eggs every Friday, and it was kind of and it's actually taken off very well, better than we thought. So that's good. I'm trying to do more eggs, cheese and stuff to get away from the sugar, especially with the sugar requirement that's focused on breakfast and reducing each year. So it is good to see that they are taking that. Lunchtime, breakfast for lunch is a huge one. At the middle school, we now have drumsticks, which was our biggest day. We did over 1,150 meals at the middle school, and it was drumsticks. So that was a huge hit. Other big ones, pizza crunchers, that's my personal favorite. So, and I try and do a lot of kid-friendly because our goal is to get them to come in and eat. So we tried a sample de Monte Cristo today. So we're going to try that in the fall, or in the spring, see how that goes with French toast, because that's, like I said, a huge favorite.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, I'm looking around the room, Mr. Manzo. All right, my question is, my first question is, in general, can you comment on approximately how much higher are our numbers, or are they just on a steady trend relative to having universal free lunch? Like, did we jump up when we went to universal free lunch, and are we now pretty steady, or have we all the time been on a
We've been on a pretty steady incline. When we were doing bag lunches for everyone, I think everyone's participation went to like 80, 90% because we were just giving bags to anyone, and we got to claim, and we didn't have to we got to just check off numbers. So that participation was huge. Once students got back in, we did see it kind of dip down to where it was before, but it is gradually increasing up.
And in general, with universal free lunch, do you think we're serving more meals or do you know, Miss Binder Keeper, that we're serving more meals than when we had some children who had to pay?
We are definitely serving more meals now. without a
Okay,
doubt.
and so with that in mind, and in this, with it also in mind the fact that your cost center is totally self-contained, are you concerned about the risk of universal free meals going away?
I do not see it going away. I do not think it will. I think there, because you have to vote now, if I'm correct, in order to reverse it, because it is law, and they always seem to find the way, and because we're in Massachusetts and all good places, I do not see it going away. Is it always a fear in everyone's head? Yes, but I don't think it will be.
Yes, Ms. Emma?
I just wanted to add too that we, in addition to having the benefit of the state's universal free meal program, we are also what is known as a CEP district, which is a community eligible provision. Thank you. And so what that means is that in the event that there were not state-funded universal free meals, it would still give access to all students in our district to free meals through federal funding, provided that federal funding was available. So with an asterisk, but we do have that additional level of a quasi-safety net to, again, continue to help ideally support the feeding of Beverly's children.
I would actually be more concerned in the other direction, right? So, because I do think that the state of Massachusetts is, knock wood, in fairly good financial shape and is probably preparing to dip into some of its own reserves to make up for cuts that are happening at the federal level. But that's good to know, so thank you. And then my last question is, relative to your capital expenditures that you're about to undertake, and the revolving fund, how is it that we're funding the revolving fund in your self-contained world when we're having universal free meals? Meaning, I don't suspect that you're selling a lot of meals, so how is it that we're getting money to put in the revolving fund?
Well, for each meal that we do serve, we get a reimbursement we get a portion from the federal government, from the state. So that is what's actually the revenue that we get in, that is going into the revolving account once we pay out all of our expenses.
And us and districts across the Commonwealth, since we have moved to universal free meals, have seen an increase in our balances. We use those funds to do things like be able to support capital improvements. DESE has rules about, and DESE or the USDA or both of them have rules that sort of dictate how much we can carry forward. So it's not that we could just accumulate money. We do need to be reinvesting it back into the program. But the increased in participation has allowed districts across the Commonwealth to sort of creep up that balance a little bit to really allow for some of this reinvestment into infrastructure that really wasn't happening prior to universal free meals, because there was, it was very often the case in districts across the Commonwealth that in fact the school lunch fund would run into a deficit and they'd have to come back to, the general appropriation to make them whole. That really has flipped and has given us the capacity to undertake these capital improvements.
Yes, Dr. Silva?
I'm curious if, is there a way to measure consumption? So the kids can be taking the food, but they could be, how do you measure that it's actually getting eaten?
So that, we do have share tables at all the schools. I don't know if there's a way to measure or do a waste comparison as far as that.
Something to think about in the future, perhaps. Maybe if you weigh the compost, or
Okay,
you
we're not composting, all right?
You're not
We only
composting.
compost back of the house.
Okay.
There are some dreams, some people have what is this, fairy plums dancing in their heads about composting front of the house. However, in a pecking order, composting is like the last thing you should do. So having the share tables is actually way preferable. We don't want the food to go to waste. We don't want to have to compost it. But I heard you, and I will pass it back to you for a minute to jump up and down and pat yourself on the back relative to the Operational Sustainability Committee and some of the work that they're doing, and the fact that you now lead that committee. So if you want to talk for a minute about that, the share tables are kind of part of that. And what I will say to you is I would hope, and I'm looking over at Ms. Brown while I say this, I would hope that maybe our green teams could do what you're asking to have done. And then we have a little project-based learning, and it ties several things together, gives our green team something to do, you know, a real tangible something, and that would be useful data to have as well.
So briefly on the Sustainability Committee, we do compost back of the house at the middle school and the high school. So, and they do pick that up twice a week as part of this kitchen staff does that. We do have share tables at all of the elementary schools. Most of them have including a refrigerator to keep milk, cheese, yogurt, and all that stuff that kids can access anytime during the day. At the middle school, they take what is left over and deliver it to Beverly Bootstraps to get bring it kind of full circle. And the high school is beginning to do that as well. We are working with, their green team is working on getting a refrigerator to store that stuff so Beverly Bootstraps could pick it up. We do my containers, our to-go containers at the high school are compostable. We ship out to Beverly School for the Deaf and North Shore Consortium, and all those are compostable as well, as far as it's a sealing machine. So we're trying to eliminate as much plastic that we can in all of our operations.
Great.
That's the good stuff. I'm a little biased. Okay, team, I'm looking around the table. Does anybody else have anything else that they would like to ask Ms. Leal before we allow her to escape? Run away. This is your chance.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, and
for having me.
congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, now we get some voting things. Gifts to schools. Dun, 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 dun. Our gifts to schools, we have one in this packet, total of $299.48. I'm looking for a motion to accept with gratitude those gifts.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you, Ms. Coelho. Thank you, Dr. Silva. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 4-0. I also have the agenda on my screen so that if you don't want to keep going back and forth, Emma, I have it on my screen. So our next item is a request to have a new student activity account. And specifically, Beverly High is getting ready to take a trip to France. And so they want to open their own account. So here's the form on the screen right now. I'm looking for a motion to allow this new student activity account to be opened.
Motion? Oops, second?
Thank you, Mr. Manzo. Thank you, Dr. Silva. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, for the members on this committee who will be sitting here again in an hour from now, Emma and I put some of these items on the next agenda, hoping, like contingent upon the fact that we would accept them this evening. So I'm excited to get some of these things going forward. There's a motion on the table. All those in favor? That passes 4-0. Our next item on the agenda is a budget transfer. Transfer number, look, I'm going like this on my screen and it's not getting bigger. Is it 2026?
No, it's 690. My apologies.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was in the wrong column. That's why I needed to go like this. And my screen wasn't working on your document. I'm looking for a motion to approve this budget transfer.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Coelho.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Silva. We're really letting you get in the books here. This is like your last meeting. We'll just put you on every motion. Any questions for Ms. Puglisi? Yes, Mr. Manzo.
So I'm wondering, where does this leave you on the unemployment compensation line?
So this will leave us at a little bit over $200,000, which leaves us really well on trajectory compared to where we are this year. We had anticipated higher unemployment given the staffing reductions that were made in the budget cycle coming into this year. We're very fortunate that all of those employees were able to find other positions and not making them need to dip into our unemployment line. So we have a little bit of savings there that we are able to reallocate to our utility accounts to bring them in line. We had hoped to have our utility friends from the city side come and talk to us tonight. They were unable to join us, but they have promised to join us in January, so stay tuned. But there's two things that sort of go into both of these lines, being that there was a point in time where our ability that the utility credits were really, really cheap, and so we bought a lot of them. And we've had this sort of stockpile that we have been spending down as we buy new ones because we have to buy the contract. And that spend down, or that bank, got eaten up when we did our LED conversions because we were able to use on bail billing to support those. And so again, that was $490,000 worth of improvements across the district to make us more energy efficient with no additional out-of-pocket expense, except that it did eat up this existing bank. And so where that had previously been helped offset each annual budget, we no longer have that benefit, which is leading to some of these increased costs relative to prior years from the budget perspective.
Right, so I'm going to pile on right there and say that I had asked, and hopefully we'll be able to get a follow-up, when we did the LED conversion, they're a little over-caffeinated. There are several things that are less than direct relative to our electricity plan and our solar panels. However, I do believe that we should be able to directly measure our use in each building. And so with the conversion to LED, I'm hoping, and I will say this to you to pass along to Mr. B&G, to see a report of what is our usage now with, we've been in all of our buildings for a while. We should be kind of settled in, and we had the change to LED. So we should be able to see a before and after for like number of units, even if the cost is different because the costs are going sky high. From a unit point of view, we should be able to see a savings, and then we can talk about that relative to our ROI of spending that bank. You know, it seemed like a great idea at the time to spend the bank to get all the things for free, to get the LED conversion for free. I'm not sure that we would make that same choice if we knew that then we wouldn't have the bank to offset our monthly bills. So kind of in the big presentation that we're hopefully going to get next month, which Dr. Silva's going to come back and listen to, he promised me, that would be part of, you know, like I imagine a big spreadsheet with lots of different formulas on it.
So I have that information already that I can share, and we did not get to it at our last meeting because we had so many fabulous things to talk about, but there are slides that show year-over-year usage that are in the presentation that is posted as part of our minutes, so I'm happy to share that again with the committee in advance along with the spreadsheet, just to sort of give that introductory for kilowatt usage for our electric accounts over the last 3 years.
Cool. All right, any other questions about this budget transfer now that we went down that little electricity hole? Zzz. Okay, there's a motion on the table. All those in favor? That passes 4-0. Okay, let me see my agenda. Next item on the agenda is a fund transfer. Ms. Puglisi.
Yes, and so
Will you
this,
please speak to a fund transfer?
yes. So normally when we come and we talk budget transfers, which is us moving money from out within our appropriated budget between any of our cost centers. A fund transfer is when we are looking to transfer funds from one fund, from a fund accounting perspective, to another. And so in this particular instance, I am asking for permission to transfer funds from our transportation revolving fund to the capital project fund, where the accounting for our new electric buses and their infrastructure are occurring. And so the electric buses and their infrastructure have been supported by funds from a number of different sources, including $1.45 million of EPA grant money, $1.49 million of Mass CEC grant money, approximately $300,000 worth of tax credits, and then the remaining portion of the budget that is unfunded is this $179,000 and change, 179, 135, 54. And so this is the school department's contribution of funds to the overall purchase of the 8 electric buses, 5 big buses, 3 little buses, and the corresponding infrastructure.
So I just to be clear and to jump up and down and celebrate this a little bit more, we're getting 5 full-size buses and 3 little buses, all of which are electric, for, in essence, the cost of less than $180,000.
And all of the corresponding infrastructure, yes, which would be chargers and all the things that happen underneath the ground and on the utility poles and all that happy jazz.
All of the things.
Yes.
And do we already have these buses? Have they already been delivered?
The 5 big buses have been delivered. The 3 small buses have not been delivered yet. And the infrastructure procurement is underway. We are working with project management help from both Highland as well as through Mass CEC technical assistance to get the very, deep and intricate part of infrastructure up off the ground, installed, and ready for use.
And do we have an ETA for when that's going to happen? When that might happen?
Yes, definitely by June 30th.
Because
That is the
because
correct
we're spending
deadline.
the money in that fiscal year. Fantastic. All right,
Yes.
team, I'm looking for a motion to accept this fund transfer.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Manzo. Thank you, Ms. Coelho. Now that I already grilled Emma a whole bunch about this, more questions?
All the good questions are gone now.
I'm sorry, I should have saved one for you. That was very Grinch-like of me.
I'll have to make up something now. So the infrastructure improvements, is that new charging stations? And if so, where are they going to go?
It is new charging stations, so it will be charging stations, some of which, I believe 5, will have V2X capability. So that's vehicle to grid, so it'll be bi-directional, which is very exciting. And those will go at our bus depot. So over at the, behind us, that way. That way? That way.
And, are you finished, Mr. Manzo? I'm sorry.
And I'll ask a question I asked someone else in the room a little while ago. Your working relationship with Highland has been good? Because they're essential for both the maintenance and keeping these buses and the charging stations up and running.
Yeah, we have had a very positive relationship with them. They are our neighbors right next door in the Cumming Center as well. They have worked really well with both the school department and the city. I do want to really commend, this has been a community-wide effort. This has not been the school department alone. We have been working in very close conjunction with the mayor and his team as well on the city side. Highland has a lot of expertise in this area relative to electric vehicles and their use in the size and scope relative to school transportation, which is different than, size and scope for a personal vehicle. And so we have definitely appreciated their contribution and their assistance in this.
It's good to hear. Thank you.
All right, my question, I'm looking around the room, anybody else before I call on myself? My question has to do with the V to
X.
V to X do we anticipate, or do we already have lined up contracts to purchase what we quote-unquote dump back onto the grid?
So my understanding of how this works is it's when we opt into this participation which is part of our application to National Grid, when we get the service set up and all of these things, we will then be enrolled with National Grid. So the program is through National Grid, who is our utility provider as well.
Okay, thanks. Okay, did I already call for the motion on this?
You called for the motion, not the vote.
Okay. All right, any other questions? I'm going to have more questions about the Vita X thing when we get closer, but maybe that can also go on next month's. Because I did think at some point in time, we had a model where we were thinking that we would have a buyer, because we would, in essence, charge like overnight when it's cheaper, and then especially in the summer when not all those buses were running, we could go to somewhere else and dump our electricity to that other community, that then that other community would still buy it. We would make a little bit of money, they would save a little bit of money, and yeah, that would be a lovely symbiotic relationship. So if we're not doing that, I have some questions. So if you're accumulating things to ask our guests for next month, that would be great if we could put that on there. All right, so there's a motion on the table to accept this fund transfer. All those in favor? Okay, that passes 4-0. Okay. End of the year reports. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. So
Into the calendar year. I should add that little descriptive word there.
And so we are about 50% of the way through the year. And so here we are. These are our revenues. So on the city appropriation, they post that quarterly. This was pulled before they did that, so it's only one quarter reflected in there. But I have every confidence that they're good for it. Our school choice and circuit breaker funds, those come through quarterly disbursements from the state. Those are right on target. For school choice, we will do our winter billing and sort of confirmation of students, as will districts across the Commonwealth where students might be school choiced out to. Sometime in the spring, we will do the special education incremental assessment. And then this number sometimes fluctuates based on all of that information by the end of the year. So the number displayed here is the number that's on our cherry sheets from the state, and that's really based on last year's enrollment, but we get paid based on the kids who come this year. I cannot say at this moment in time that I expect it to be higher, given that we had increased our school choice participation at some of our grade levels at the middle school and high school when the committee had convened back in the spring. But relative to special education increment, it's not something that I can speak to at this point in time. We'll have to go through that exercise. And then same with the circuit breaker revenue. They have made first quarter disbursements, but they have not published the sort of final, this is what you're getting, this is how the percentages have shook out across the state. Part of that is that each year they select a cohort of communities that they go out and audit, of which Beverly was one of them this year. And so when they do that, they hold aside a pool of money for fluctuations that might become present through the audit process. And once that's all wrapped up, buttoned up, that's when they publish those things. So we should see those relatively soon. We certainly won't bring in less than what our forecasted receipts are based on my back of the napkin math based on what our claim is, but we don't have final numbers yet. And then our special education tuition, that is tuition for students from other districts who tuition into some of our programs here, as well as when we deploy like our teacher of the deaf or assistant teacher of the deaf to other districts and they compensate us. That comes back into this fund. So we are right on target where I would sort of expect for this year. SEVIS, which is our international students funds, those actually get paid in the spring for the upcoming year. So we're able to recognize that revenue with pretty good accuracy at this time of the year. And so there are occasionally students who will no longer be able to join us for whatever reason that might be, or other students who had not previously committed who say, you know what, Beverly, that sounds amazing, and then who will join us. So sometimes we can see a little bit of fluctuation, but not much. And then scholarship and education. We've talked transportation revolving fund a few times at this table, so nothing has substantially changed since the last time that we spoke. Our building rental fees are on par with where they've been. Some of our billing is a little bit delayed because we go through the month, we count all of our students that participate in programs like the YMCA, then we send them a bill, then we get that money. So there's a little bit of a lag there. And then our preschool revolving is pretty much on target. We work with families who might be falling behind to make sure to help them get back on path if they are, if they've elected a payment plan. Most of our families do. They choose to make incremental payments over the course of the year. And then our user fees right now are really reflective of just the fall user fees, and those winter user fees will start to come in.
To talk about, all right, team, any questions? Okay, I wish to ask you about the transportation revolving funds and going back to the new buses. Two things. One, do we see more money in our revolving account because we're paying less for fossil fuels? Even though we have a higher bill for electricity, I myself drive a hybrid vehicle, and I'm certainly spending way less on gas and more on electricity because I have to charge up every night. However, I can compute my differential, right? And I'm saving money. So do we see that ourselves, and would we see it reflected in our revolving account?
We do not at present see that, given that the current electric vehicles that we have via lease from Highland, the utility portion of that is included in our lease payment. So it's really all just one lease payment, though we had seen, savings in our fuel line to when we made that conversion. And however, our fuel costs are found in the appropriated budget. And so the things that we have charged to our revolving fund historically have been the cost of drivers and the cost of equipment. So not our fuel, whether it be electric or fossil fuel.
And also maybe a minute or two too late, with the additional buses coming online, they don't come with drivers, do they?
No.
That's a little bit of a joke. But if they did, like, are we, big picture, are we going to lose? Are we almost out of the leases of the Highland buses? And so our total number of buses is going to remain the same? Or will we have a buffer of buses? And if we have a buffer of buses, if we could get more drivers, then we could run more runs? Or we're gonna keep, in essence, the same total number of buses because our Highland leases are ready to fall off?
It's not that our Highland leases are ready to fall off, but rather that we have some older vehicles that we would move to sort of the spare stage or for supplemental uses, given where they are in their life cycle. So these will come on and replace some of those. Given our general sort of retirement age that we would shoot for, there, and the fact that we were able, and by the terms of the grant, needed to procure all 5 of the big buses at once, and we're not able to stagger them, there will be about a year or two where we do have a couple more buses, and so then we would generally. in our fleet. And so that could potentially lend to, if we have access to more drivers, the ability to have more routes, if that, sort of becomes a necessity.
And are we planning to keep some number of fossil fuel buses due to long field trips or sporting events?
Yes, and so we are not intending at this time to retire all of our fossil fuel vehicles. Even with these 5 new electric buses and our existing electric leases, we do use more than that number of big buses for our everyday runs, and especially to your point too, for some of those longer distance field trips and sporting events, we do, utilize those as well.
Okay. Sorry to back us up and quiz you about those things. All right, and looking around the table, any other questions on revenues? Yes, Mr. Dr. Silva.
Would it be would you consider, if there are extra buses, selling them?
When we surplus our vehicles, that is part of the process. We do put them out to bid. As a municipality, the disposal of assets is subject to Chapter 30B, the same way that purchases are. Generally, when we are ready to retire a vehicle, there is not a lot of value left in them. But if we are ready to dispose of an asset, that is where we go to, yes.
You're looking for a Winnebago. That's gonna be your part and present. All right, Miss Emma, will you take us to expenses, please?
I will. And I will zoom. So here are the expenses. We are in line with where I would generally expect us to be across a number of our accounts. I am not concerned yet. We are about halfway through the year. You likely noticed as you scrolled through the report this percent used, and might have seen there are some places where we're at 0, but we're halfway through the year. There's some places we're at 36, but we're halfway through the year. Specifically to teacher salary lines, the way that we pay that is with a balloon check in June to cover sort of the summer month's pay, and which is allowable under IRS regulations. But what that means is they are effectively deferring some of that compensation now to show up in that balloon check. And so to be sort of on target with where we are, our lines are in that 36% for teachers. Folks who get paid weekly, like myself, who work year round, they're at about 46% because we're not quite at halfway yet. And then there are some lines. We do a lot of our purchasing of supplies at the start of the year for instructional supplies and materials. Some of our curriculum expenses, depending on when those renewals come up, a lot of those do come up towards the end of the year, so that's not too surprising in some of those OT lines. Our things like our snow removal line is currently 100% unspent. Well, with the exception of, the snow cleanup that we had from this past weekend. But so we're, some of that timing, we see fluctuations throughout the year. But there are no lines that are causing me grave concern in one way or the other. How am I going to spend this money? Or, oh no, we're spending it too fast. But if there's any specific questions, I'm happy to answer any of those as well.
I'm looking around the room before I call on myself. I am particularly, I'd say concerned with 880, BG 880, the other operating expenses. All of their numbers are high. All right, well, one of them's low. But like all of their numbers are 80, 90%. So is it unusual and maybe that needs to go back to Mr. B&G with his B&G report, that he has spent like all of his playground money already. He has spent, like, it wouldn't maybe make sense that we buy all the uniforms up front, right? But the other items in this cost center, it makes me concerned that we're looking at numbers that are very high percentage-wise on December 17th.
So there are two things at play here. So specific to like the playground equipment, we did not budget specific playground equipment money. However, to be able to really report and track on how we're spending money, we do sometimes have lines that we did not budget for, but when we make improvements to playgrounds specifically rather than to inside our buildings, we take money out of the, I would have made a repair inside the building maintenance line and move it to the playground line so that we can accurately reflect how we're investing some of those funds. And we generally only move the money that we need to cover those things at a time. So that is, it's not surprising that that line is nearly entirely spent because it's all the money that I put there based on the things that we have known to purchase. The other piece of that is that for some of these lines, we do blanket purchase orders. And so as we go through the year, we encumber at the start of the year when we're doing a blanket purchase order what we expect to spend throughout the year. And so that percentage there includes not just the spent to date money, but also the encumbered money. And so if things are sort of in holding in those encumbrance, so that when we need to pay a bill, the money's already there, the approval from the city's already there, we can just go ahead and give a vendor a PO number. That's part of that too.
Okay, awesome, thanks. Yes, Dr. Silva?
I did happen to find a line at 1,400%.
What?
And I'm sure there's a reasonable an explanation for it, but it's on page 33 on the bottom. K-12 health.
So what that is an overspent line because we are expecting a reimbursement from our good friends at the YMCA. That is for our Cartwheel subscription, which is access to mental health supports at no cost to families without insurance. And we have a partnership with the YMCA where we pay the bill and they pay for a portion of those licenses so that they can make referrals through their programs, including our after-school programs. And so we pay the bill, I send them an invoice, they cut me a check, it comes back, the check hasn't been in yet.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? That brings us to the end of our regularly scheduled program of our agenda. It'll give us all 15 minutes before the next meeting starts. Before I call for a motion to adjourn, I just want to say that technically, Mr. Manzo, your term ends with this meeting. Wrong, it's the Hotel California. So I hope that you've submitted your letter to serve again. We would love to have you back. And Dr. Silva, thank you for your service to this committee and the committee as a whole. Really, we expect to see you back next month because we're going to do, I feel bad that we couldn't do the energy presentation. A fantastic request. We just couldn't pull it off this month.
Okay. All right.
So, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Your last order of business on F and F. Thank you, Mr. Manzo. Thank you, Dr. Silva. All those in favor? We are adjourned as of 7:14. Thank you, BevCam.
Welcome, everyone. This is the Beverly Public Schools School Committee, December 17th, 2025, Committee of the Whole. At present time, we have one member participating remotely, so I just wanted to mention that we have BevCam providing live stream and broadcasting of our meeting, and we're using a remote meeting platform which began in June of 2021 and has been extended a number of times through the Chapter 20 Acts of 2021 that allows for public bodies to use safe means of public access in a hybrid fashion. So after this extension expires, there is the ability for the Beverly Public Schools School Committee to continue to have remote participants, but when the acts expire, the chair and a quorum do physically need to be present for the meeting to occur. Now, tonight is a committee of the whole meeting, which means there is no opportunity during this meeting to address the body. The next opportunity will be at the first school committee meeting of the new term in 2026, which will occur in January. I will do a quick roll call of everyone that is present, and then we will go to the pledge. So present from the school committee, we have Mayor Cahill.
Here.
Kimberly Coelho.
Here.
Ken-Ann Mackenzie DeFranza.
Here.
Karen Robinson's joining us remotely.
Here.
We hope you feel
Here.
better soon. Thank you for not sharing your germs. And we have Jeffrey Silva
Here.
and Lorinda Visnick. Here. And I am Rachel Abel. So the school committee is present. We are also joined by Dr. Cushing,
Here.
Aaron Brown, Emma Puglisi,
Here.
Bethany Splansky. And I see some faces of resident reps and soon-to-be inaugurated members of the school committee. So thank you so much for joining us for the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. How about you? I think it's Dr. Ken Mackenzie DeFranza's turn for one final time.
Thank you, Madam President.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much, Dr. Mackenzie DeFranza. Welcome. Okay, it looks like the agenda item is a little bit awkward, where we have some recognitions next, or would we like to skip that and go
If we could move to take out of order and.
out of order? Sure.
So,
The next agenda item is our approval of meeting records. In our packet, we received the November 19th Committee of the Whole meeting records. I'm looking for a motion of approval.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Bisnick.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Mackenzie DeFranza. Were there any edits or corrections that any member wished to make? Seeing none, I will call the roll. Mayor Cahill,
Yes.
Ms. Coelho,
Yes.
Dr. Mackenzie DeFranza,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Silva,
Yes.
Ms. Visnick,
Yes.
and Ms. Abel, yes. That passes 7-0. Those will be published to our district website. Next, we have a superintendent's report, which also seems to have some recognitions as well as some staff recommendations.
yes, we do. Actually, if you'll give me one moment to be able to get into the Zoom.
I'm admitting you right now.
Right, so that would be a rookie mistake. All right, good evening, Madam President, Mr. Mayor, members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity for a brief presentation this evening. I want to take a few minutes here to talk about two Beverly alums and residents. The first is Louis Tanzer. He is Beverly's oldest World War II veteran. He will be celebrating his birthday on December 25th, where he'll be turning 105 years old. A call has gone out for Mr. Tanzer, and I've shared that with the entire Beverly Public Schools teaching staff for students who might want to make birthday cards. We will be, I apologize, we'll be deploying these boxes to the main offices of our schools tomorrow, so that students and teachers and anyone else who would like to celebrate Mr. Tanzer being the oldest living veteran in the city of Beverly. So this will be in each school and just a nice way to honor him as he approaches 105 years old. I want to thank Member Visnick for sharing this with us. And if anyone here right now might have a birthday card or is looking for a birthday card, I believe future member Ducharme has a few available that if you want to do before the end of the evening. But hopefully on the 22nd or the 23rd, students might have a few minutes to make some homemade cards for Louis so that these can be shared with him on his birthday. So thank you. I also want to take a moment to honor another veteran. So during the Vietnam War era, some students chose to enter the service as opposed to completing their high school course of studies. Those students would frequently earn a GED and not return to high school if they were fortunate enough to make it home from service. Recently, the son-in-law of this Beverly High School student reached out to us seeking a diploma, if we could. In, I believe, 2006, then Governor Romney signed into law the opportunity for those members of the military service who had been honorably discharged to be able to receive a high school diploma if they had left to serve in the armed services. Mr. Casola is currently battling cancer. And we're hopeful that he will receive this. His birthday actually happens to be this Friday. So I will be delivering this diploma to him tomorrow and to his family. So I'm going to stop my screen share just because here we have a diploma that our high school office and Jostens worked extraordinarily hard to prepare and get ready. I just want to thank President Abel for her signature and Principal Thomas for his signature. And at this time, I will sign my first Beverly High School diploma and recognize Mr. Casola for his service to our country and a debt of gratitude that we can provide to this to him as he battles cancer at this time. Okay.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Dr. Cushing.
Absolutely. And, you know, just if anyone else out there listening has family members in a similar situation, we're able to work with our Beverly Veterans Affairs representative, David Perrenchief, to get the information necessary to make sure this happened. And I will now reshare my screen. So staffing recommendations. So throughout the course of this year, we've had some shifts in student population. And so we're requesting the approval of the committee to move forward with hiring several paraprofessionals, one at North Beverly. So we've had a number of new district enrollments with a high level of need, necessitating this paraprofessional increase at North Beverly. Cove, we're looking for one paraprofessional, a float para for the AIM program, looking for somebody with a specialized skill set that can, once again, assist with the level of need to really support those students. And then at Beverly Middle School, looking for 2 paraprofessionals, one for increased student enrollment in our SSP program, and one for additional new district enrollments in the Learning Center model.
I'll make the motion to approve the additional employees for this school year based on the needs that Dr. Cushing has outlined.
Second.
Are there some questions? Ms. Bisnick?
I'm wondering where we're finding the funds to fund these positions.
I think the best way to answer that question is to throw it to Emma, who has the answer that I don't want to bungle, but.
So we are able to fund these positions through a combination of available funding. One of which comes from, we had E-rate fundings for our Wi-Fi connections that came in better than we had anticipated, so that has provided some additional budget capacity. Also, to date, we had expected a larger participation during the budget process in our health insurance benefits, so we have some year-to-date savings that we're able to redeploy as well. The salary cost for these 4 positions, with the imagination that they might start on the first day of school back from winter break, which is perhaps a little bit ambitious, so the number could potentially be lower, would be about $69,521 and some change in salary. And then benefit costs could range anywhere from $0 to as much as $87,000 in the event that all 4 of them participated in our master medical plan. I expect that to be highly unlikely. Given our general population of enrollment, I would expect health insurance costs somewhere in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. And there's funds sufficient in those 2 areas that I talked about to cover this.
Follow-up, please.
Ms. Bisnick?
So Miss Emma, does that mean at our next FNF meeting, we can expect not 1, but 2 budget transfers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there additional questions before I call the roll? Mayor Cahill?
Thanks, Madam President. Dr. Cushing, I understand that there has been an attempt to hire a special ed teacher at the middle school since before school opened, and that these paraprofessionals, the decision to go with these 2 paraprofessional hires, or the request for, is in lieu of that at this point?
Not these. We were able to convert that position without having to come to the body, but these positions are in addition to.
Convert the sped teacher that we didn't
Correct.
fill to what?
To paraprofessional support staff.
How many?
2, correct. Just didn't want to misspeak, but yes, 2.
Okay. I thought these were connected to that. These are in addition to.
These are in addition to,
So this will be at the middle school, 4 more paraprofessionals than we started the year with.
yes.
Thanks.
Do any other members have any questions or comments before I call the vote? Mayor Cahill?
And all 4 are directly involved in special ed programs?
Yes.
Okay. These, I see these, I get these. One in an SSP room and one in the learning center. The other 2 that had already been filled, where are they?
They're specifically assigned special education as well. 7th grade, if I remember correctly. Yep. 7th grade learning center.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I don't see any more questions. I'll call the roll to approve the staffing recommendations from Dr. Cushing as presented. Mayor Cahill?
Yes.
Kim Coelho?
Yes.
Kenan Mackenzie DeFranza?
Yes.
Karen Robinson?
Yes.
Jeffrey Silva,
Yes.
Lorinda Visnick.
Yes.
Rachel Abel, yes. 7-0. 7:46.
And now would be the time for some other special recognitions.
Okay.
So I'd like to take a moment on behalf of the district, on behalf of the central leadership team, to thank our 3 outgoing members of this body. Being new here, each of you has offered me such great insight, great conversation, challenging questions, and guidance. And so from my perspective, I really appreciate that. I appreciate seeing the dedication that each of you has brought, from serving on different committees across the city, to just how you protect and steward and support the staff, the students, the teachers, and this district as a whole. So it is definitely bittersweet, as these times usually are. And from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate the way that all of you, but in particular at this juncture, the way the 3 of you have welcomed me to this new role. I really want to just take a moment, if we can, to offer some gifts. We also have some Beverly-specific glassware that will be coming to you. There was a little mix-up with the company, and they included Danvers with the map of Beverly, and that would not stand.
No.
Okay? Would not stand. So we apologize that the glassware is not here just yet, but we do have some other gifts. So first, some Beverly embossed, some Beverly cutting boards. Thank you, Dr. Silva.
Dr. Cushing, could you say that for the microphone again?
Some Beverly laser engraved cutting boards.
That's pretty awesome.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'll leave that right there.
Thank you.
And so over the years of giving these gifts, one of the things that I've always tried to find for presidents or chairs is something that really signifies the school. And I'd like to offer this brass school bell for President Abel's service as president. I've always said that to ring the bell for education, and so I really appreciate your ringing the bell for education and this token of appreciation and gratitude.
Thank you so much. Not coincidentally, a lot of people pronounce my last name Abel. Maybe we'll use this instead of, this is not just a small one. This is for like the days when they came from the farms, like miles and miles away. Oh, how beautiful. Oh. Thank you. I don't know if members wanted to take a brief recess or to say any words. I would just offer that, the past 10 years, it's been my absolute pleasure to be of service to the district. I think the friendships and the camaraderie that we all share through the many memorable meetings, the many long hours, learning to Zoom during COVID, spending a month together last year. It's really been an honor and a privilege to serve. I'm pretty excited to going back to being Dilly and Addie's mom and watching them graduate. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll just add a quick word to that. I realize I have spent almost my entire time I've lived in Beverly on school committee, so that's a pretty exciting way to enter a community, and it made me learn a lot of names and about a lot of things very quickly. And so I recommend it. I recommend going right into volunteering as soon as you move a place because it'll help you make new friends. And so almost 5 years, short a few days. And so it's been really exciting. I'm really excited too because I thought it would be a great time to inject some new ideas and faces and thoughts on our school committee. So I want to wish well to our new members who are coming on board. Thank you, Madeline, for stepping up for Ward 2. I really appreciate it. Ward 2 is awesome, very dear to my heart. It was a pleasure to hire you, Dr. Cushing, and to be part of this process. Of course, I'll be watching closely. I have a senior who is on her way out this year, so we are close by and still paying attention. But I want to thank the central office team as well for being prompt and responsive and being able to offer lots of guidance along the way. So we don't do this alone. We, as you know, we defer a lot of questions to you. And so I really appreciate you. My colleagues here have been amazing. Particularly, I want to thank Ms. Visnick, who was the first Beverly person I ever met. And we ended up working closely together. So I really appreciated having this way to get to know you better. I want to thank Dr. Silva for championing my other run that I was pursuing. That was really a really awesome experience. It's been so great being up here with the mayor and getting to know his thoughts and leadership ideas. And so I'm really excited. And Rachel, I think I could not have asked for a better president to come into this process with. You do yeoman's work, and it's hard to state how hard you work at this. So I really appreciate how you've been steadfast and, helping hold my hand along this process. So again, I want to thank everyone and congratulations to those who will be staying on, and I know you'll do really well. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Cushing. It's been a pleasure serving the committee for 2 terms. Getting to know everyone on the committee, I really cherish working with you, and I'm sure that we'll be in touch over the years. I'm going to be enjoying watching my daughter play lacrosse at Colby, and I'll be taking a little bit of a break, but I will be here to visit some of these school committee meetings, and hopefully will maybe volunteer for a resident position. I'll be thinking about that, but I do appreciate working with everyone, and also in the office, the administrative office. Thank you so much. It's been great to get to know everyone. Thank you.
Thanks. Why don't we stand in recess for 5 minutes? Maybe take a group picture? Okay, thanks. Calling back to order. Thank you so much. Dr. Cushing, it looks like you, final slides? Nope.
Just one. I just want to take a moment to wish not only the members of the body, but all of our students, our staff, and the residents of Beverly, a very happy holiday season. However you celebrate it, I want to make sure that each of you takes a moment to find happiness, joy, and hopefully peace in this very tenuous time in our world, but to take a moment to find peace and joy in the loved ones that you're with. And that is my superintendent's report for this evening, trying to keep it brief, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cushing. Now for the school committee chair update. We have a number of items, and I'm going to call on my colleagues to help us get through this chair's agenda. For our first item A, I would like to call on Dr. Silva to give the public and this group just a little readout from the financial forecasting, the summary of the report and the meetings that occurred, was it the end of November, beginning of December?
Sure. Thank you. So for all of those that are listening, there's a copy of the report final copy of the report was released this week. If you Google financial forecast report, Beverly 2026, it'll be on the top first or second return, and you can get a copy of the PDF. In terms of, this is my third time serving on this committee. The committee members this year were Kathleen Feldman as chair, Brian Ailes as the vice chair, Dominic Copeland, Karen Fogarty, Scott Hausman, Paul Manzo, Emma Puglisi, Karen Robinson, myself, and Jerry Perry, who's the consultant for the city who put together the report. So in summary of the report, the city, I'm just going to read a summary that I prepared. City of Beverly is projected to have a general fund operating budget deficit of approximately 3.9 million for fiscal year 2027. And it's projected to steadily increase in terms of the deficit to 7.1 million in 2028, 10 million in 2029, and roughly 13.7 million in 2030. So this is outlined in the report. The key findings in terms of the causes of the deficit. The report indicates a structural imbalance where the rate of municipal services cost growth outpaces the rate of revenue growth. And just to show an example of this, for 2027, the total revenue growth was roughly 3%, whereas the total expenditures were 5.2%. Municipal budget expenditures were 4.8%. Beverly Public School expenditures were 5.3%, and vocational educational assessment was 13.7% increase. Looking across fiscal year 2028 is the same trend. Total revenues being 2.8%, total expenditures being 4.4%, municipal expenditures 3.8%, Beverly Public School expenditures 4.9, vocational school 7.1. And the same is true for, the same trend is true for 2029 and 2030. The main reasons outlined in the report for the expected deficit includes increased costs due to collective bargaining agreements for municipal and school labor, the high costs associated with special education and healthcare, the fact that state aid is not keeping pace with inflation, limited revenue streams within the tax levy due to Proposition 2.5 laws, and the fixed costs associated with pensions and state assessments. In terms of the recommendations for next steps outlined in the report, the committee used a conservative methodology for revenue forecasting and objective position for expenditures, suggesting that difficult decisions regarding revenue enhancements, there'll be difficult decisions regarding revenue enhancements, and that there'll need to be service reductions will be necessary to balance the legally required budget. In terms of potential actions suggested by the committee, suggested that the policymakers explore the following: considering reductions in municipal and school staffing through attrition and/or consolidation, review opportunities. Review opportunities to raise certain school-related fees, establishing a higher trash fee, considering comprehensive review of existing expenditures to align with the community needs, and exploring options for an override Prop 2.5 if the existing services are to be retained without any changes to revenue and expenditures. That's my summary for the report. And again, I said that if you Google financial forecast in Beverly, it's the top hit. And it's a 13-page document.
Thank you, Dr. Silva. Ms. Puglisi?
I just wanted to share that it is also available on the Beverly Public Schools website, on our FY27 budget webpage, as well as links to the BevCam recordings of the meetings, should anybody be interested. And I will use this as the first of many plugs to let people know that we do have a budget website that we keep updated as we move through the budget process. So encourage folks who might be interested to refer back there. But that information is there, as well as a couple of other interesting and notable pieces of information from different organizations across the state. It includes a copy of the MMA report that is discussed both in the presentation and has been talked about and shared with this committee, as well as the MMA's sort of follow-up tangible action items that they published sort of in concert and subsequent to that initial report, as well as some other things on there as well. So if anybody's interested in some light reading, happily refer you there.
Thank you, Ms. Puglisi. And I will offer just a little bit of context. This report is submitted to the elected officials, specifically the City Council, as they enter into their budgeting process as well. And thank you for outlining all the various members and stakeholders that are at the table. I think it's important for people who may be just now paying attention to the budget process. It really began a couple months ago, and it will be continuing with, for this department, its public hearing in May. But by May, decisions will be coming, right down to the wire. If people receive Dr. Cushing's weekly updates, there were opportunities to participate in a survey if you were a stakeholder for the school district. Is that now closed?
It closed on Sunday evening, Monday morning, with
Okay.
430 or so responses.
430, okay. So thank you, Dr. Silva, so much for reporting out on that. Hopefully our partners in the City Council have also had an opportunity to do a readout of that. And thank you, Ms. Puglisi, for making sure it's available on the budget website. Mayor Cahill.
Thanks, Madam President, and thanks, Mr. Silva. I just want to add that the financial forecasting process has been in place since the city's charter was rewritten in 1994 and 1995. I believe it went into effect in 1996, and that's been an annual process. So the names that Mr. Silva read represent, as you said, I believe, school committee representation, city council representation, resident representation. You mentioned Mr. Perry, who is employed by the city council as their budget analyst. Mr. Ailes is the finance director for the city, works in my administration. Ms. Puglisi as the, I don't want to get your title wrong. Where is it?
I mean, I'm the director of finance, but as the
Thank you,
school
Director of Finance.
representative.
Right. Director of Finance for the schools. And so it's a process that I think has and continues to serve the community well. And all of the meetings, there were 3 meetings in total, are all on BevCam. So anybody that wants to look a little, deeper, can certainly spend time listening into the conversation and all that was presented and discussed and brainstormed. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this topic before we get to our next agenda item? Okay, Ms. Visnick, go for it.
First, I just want to thank Ms. Robinson for taking my place on that committee this year. I was unable to be in attendance for 2 out of the 3 meetings. I am a little bit concerned with what I've seen so far in the conversations around, specifically around school choice and what is best for our children and the costs associated with that. So, for instance, if some number of our children choose to go to the tech, if that's what's best for them, then that's what we need to help support to happen. Simultaneously, it is more expensive than if they were to stay in district, and to that extent, I want to half celebrate and half encourage continued expansion of our after dark offerings. And what people may not know is that we are in a non-compete with the tech. And so we cannot offer here any given program that's offered at Essex Tech. However, we can offer things that are not offered there, and we can continue to partner with other school districts to trade children, quote unquote, after dark. And so just like we try to offer more special ed programming because it's more, there becomes a tipping point at which it's more affordable to keep our children in-house versus sending them out. The more children we can keep in our own district, the better off we will be in terms of spending those higher fees to send children elsewhere. So sometimes it's a short-term spike in cost to add a program, but then it pays long-term returns. And so we have seen over the years, we used to have a lot of children school choice out, just general choice, and that pendulum has swung, and we have more children choicing in than choicing out. And I hope that we can swing that pendulum back in, and that's not to disparage the tech at all, but rather to say that, though we do have expenses and we need to try to contain our expenses, and being able to offer more things in-house where we can, being respectful of the non-compete, I think that will behoove us. And so I kind of say that as I point my face over towards the school administration. If there is savings to be had, I believe there are some savings in that area to try to keep Beverly children in Beverly and make sure that we're offering things that can keep them here. Thank you.
Thank you for those reflections, Ms. Visnick. Last call on this topic, Dr. Silva.
I should have also said that Counselor Feldman and Mr. Ailes and Jerry did a great job leading that 3-day session, and so they do a fabulous job. Jerry was able to meet up with me and sort of bring me up to speed with some things, and very helpful. So it was a great experience, and they did a great job leading it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move along to agenda item B. These are the policy readings, second readings this evening. In our last session, I brought forward to the committee the BDEA. We had heard at the table an oversight from my perspective that Mayor Cahill brought forward. So on your chair, you should have found a copy of this where we've inserted the up to 4 members with the negotiations and policy subcommittee, just to make it clearer. I also noticed inconsistent capitalization with president, so I took the liberty to do that. And then I also, having looked into open meeting records, or open meeting laws, realized that school committee members are really only able to be at the open portions of subcommittee meetings. For instance, if the negotiating subcommittee went into executive session, then this last paragraph on the page doesn't really apply. Members of the school committee would not be entering because they would be like a member of the public. So I just added that open portions of as a suggested edit, and I'd like to open it up to the table for discussion. I also
I
had.
move approval. Want to do that
Okay.
now?
Yes,
Move
let's do
approval.
that first.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Cahill and Dr. Mackenzie DeFranza. I did want to clarify, I may have misspoken at the last meeting about quorum, and I wanted to just clarify that quorum is a simple majority, meaning 50% plus one. So if the committee were to appoint 4 members, 3 of the members would need to be present. I think I maybe said 2 in our last session, but it would be 3 members. If you appoint 3 members, then 2 would need to be present. If you only appointed 2 members, you couldn't have the meeting unless both were present, because you'd need the 1 plus, or 50% plus 1. So I just wanted to make sure that was clarified for everyone. I know that part of the rationale is to make sure that our larger member board has an opportunity to participate in the standing and subcommittees appropriately. And this comes with my recommendation based on my experience in this seat. But of course, the returning members will be living with this change to policy. I am looking to see if anyone has any comments. Dr. Silva.
So with the change in the quorum being 3 instead of 2, if the number was set to 4, do you still feel that 4 is a good number?
I do. I believe that the elected positions should be on the working committees. That's where the more detailed review of topics and issues through the superintendent, the assistant superintendent happens. It informs the decisions greatly. I know that all members have access to the BevCam recordings and to the minutes, although the minutes are usually lagging a little bit. And I think it will be an important aspect of onboarding 5 new members to the school committee that they are participating, and that's why up to 4. So in the draft, I had struck through something that, and I was going to share this on the screen, sorry. In the draft, it had an uneven number of voting members, but again, these are the standing and subcommittee members that will vote to recommend to the larger committee, so the 9-member board, which is the uneven number. I went back through emails with the assistant city solicitor at the time. She is now our city solicitor, and she basically confirmed that that was sort of an arbitrary decision in the policy, that we really could have an even number if we needed it.
Okay.
So, is that a hand? Oh, Ms. Visnick.
I think, Dr. Silva, I appreciate your question, because last week we talked about the fact that we had to cancel a subcommittee meeting because 2 people were out. And so if we had 4, we still would have been able to have that meeting. And that's not true with the quorum thing, right? So there are advantages relative to onboarding people and having more people at the table where the discussions are taking place. But we're not going to gain the advantage. If 2 people are out, we can't have a meeting. That's unfortunate, and sometimes life gets in the way. And we've tried to talk here before about as much as we have a duty to all of the families, and especially to our students, we have our first commitment to our own families. So sometimes meetings do get canceled. I think that my question comes on whether we need to change this policy versus saying, all right, everybody can come, let's just give an example, go to the extreme. Everybody can come to the curriculum meeting where we're going to talk about our MCAS results, and we can simply post that meeting as a meeting of the whole. We can post it as a subcommittee meeting and a meeting of the whole. And so what's the difference in between doing that versus changing this policy? That's I think what I'm trying to understand.
Would your intention be for the committee of the whole to take votes on the items discussed? Because we did that a few times, I think in one of my earlier terms, but then it becomes not a standing committee anymore. It becomes a committee of the whole, and you have all voting members present.
From a discussion, from being able to be at the table and hear and maybe take place in the discussion, maybe not the vote, right? I mean, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Like, I'm not, Mr. Roberts' rules are not, but
Mayor
look,
Cahill.
there is one.
So what I think I understand is, it won't be any easier to meet quorum with a fourth. It's pretty much the same. If 2 of 3 aren't available now, if 2 of 4 aren't available, if this were to
Yeah.
pass.
It will be the same.
About the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing, though, is with more members, this would provide the opportunity for each member to be on 2 committees. Yes.
Up to 2 committees, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
because
up-
the suggested
there are
that
enough
is up to
places.
4, yeah.
There wouldn't be enough places if there are only 3, but if we make this move to 4, there would be enough spots that people could choose to be on 2 committees.
Right. And we said up to 4, because I don't know that
They
the
don't
policy
choose.
subcommittee meets all that often, and I don't know
They could choose to accept their assignments.
Again,
appointments.
I'm gonna push back on you on that because there is no choice involved here, right? No, I'm serious. There really isn't, right? We self-organize, and the person who is the chair then appoints the chairs and appoints the people who serve on those committees. The only thing you could possibly say no to is if someone nominated you for one of those positions. You say, no, I don't want to be secretary. I don't want to be vice president. That is the only space where we have room for choice.
I think the intentionality of the language of up to 4 recognizes that some of our standing committees don't actually meet. And so it may not be in the best interest of the committee to put 4 people on a given standing committee. But for the subcommittees like Finance and Facilities and Curriculum Instruction that meet regularly every month, it might make more sense to have 4 on those. But this is my suggestion. I took the mayor's comments and I found a couple more typos, so this is our second reading. Are there any more questions? I'm looking online, Ms. Robinson, I don't know if you had any questions or comments?
No, all set, thank you.
Okay. We ready to vote?
Vote?
Yep.
Okay, so there is a motion and a second to adopt the track changes version that we have received for policy BDE, BDEA, which is the school committee, subcommittees, and standing committees. I will call the roll. Mayor Cahill,
Yes.
Ms. Coelho,
Yes.
Dr. Mackenzie DeFranza,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Silva,
Yes.
Ms. Visnick,
No.
and Ms. Abel, yes. 6-1, the motion carries. The adoption of this policy will be reflected in our district policy manual on the website before I sign off. I'll work with Donna, before Donna and I sign off. Okay. Next, we have 2 policies that came to us from the Finance and Facilities. Ms. Visnick, can I ask a favor of you to review these with the committee, please? This is for a second reading.
Sure thing. Policy GBEBC, gifts to and solicitations by staff. The huge change in this is the addition of a paragraph at the bottom, near the bottom, about raffles and games of chance. And so this is Mass General Law, and sometimes we don't bother putting Mass General Law in our policies. As a matter of fact, I'd say we try to run away from that. However, FNF talked about this a lot. We talked about putting this in so that everybody has it handy dandy for all the people who look up the policy manuals, and the need, we will have a need to communicate this clearly across our district, because we do believe that this is happening in our schools, in our sporting, in our different booster organizations. And so FNF highly recommends that we add this particular paragraph to this policy.
I'll make a motion that we approve on the second reading the policy GBEBC.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Coelho. Are there questions or discussion from the committee? Looks like we're ready to call the roll on this one, so as marked, and we'll start with Mayor Cahill,
Yes.
Ms. Coelho,
Yes.
Dr. Mackenzie DeFranza,
Yes.
Ms. Robinson,
Yes.
thank you. Dr. Silva,
Yes.
Ms. Visnick,
Yes?
and Ms. Abel, yes. Passes 7-0.
The next policy is FFA, and just a very minor edit on this one to scope this policy to within school buildings, as opposed to, it was previously unscoped and considered unclear whether it included, for instance, benches outside or items outside of the buildings.
I'll make a motion that we approve as edited FFA related to memorials.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Cahill. Are any questions or comments? Looks like we're ready to call the roll. Mayor Cahill?
Yes.
Ms. Coelho?
No.
Dr. Mackenzie DeFranza?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Visnick?
Yes?
And Ms. Abel, yes. It passes 6-1. We'll have that updated, as well as the previous one we just passed, on the district policy on the website.
Should I just keep going?
Yes, you actually are bringing some very fresh requests to us from our meeting just a moment ago.
And I apologize because I failed to say that at FNF, the FFA policy was discussed quite a lot too. And, we have real, as you can see from the vote, I don't think we ever should necessarily strive to have unanimous votes. I respect the fact that different people have different opinions on our things, and I appreciate those opinions and the great conversation. So the next thing FNF is bringing forward is a transportation rental fee structure. How about who's sharing? Should I share?
If you can, I would
Okay,
appreciate
I
it.
am in the Zoom. Hold on half a second. Sharing, share. Go. Okay, I talked about this last meeting. Come on, there it is. Basically, how I will summarize this is that we were charging almost always a flat 4-hour fee, and for trips that are less than 4 hours, those people were overpaying, and for trips that were more than 4 hours, those people were underpaying. And so these changes bring things more in line. And Ms. Puglisi, I'm looking at you. Have I missed any? Those are the main points. And so we had a little chatter about this too, and unanimously, the FNF group unanimously is bringing this forward to update this fee structure. We haven't done an update in this area in some huge number of years.
So we're looking for a motion?
A motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Silva and Ms. Coelho. Is there any discussion, questions? Dr. Silva?
I have a question about, first, maybe Emma can address this. In terms of the fees, how do they compare to Danvers or local communities?
So this is just our details. I did not bring comparisons to other communities. Not all communities have the same access to an in-house transportation department that allows them this flexibility to be able to provide at very low cost relative to what it would cost to bring in, a third-party vendor to provide transportation, either for field trips or to provide it as a resource to the community in the other ways that we do, including supporting some of the other summer programming that happens across the city, and other things like that. So we don't quite have comps, but this is in line with our CBA. So the salaries are in line with the CBA's, those direct costs. And then it really was an attempt to really just recapture actual costs, not to generate substantial profit. We're not looking to make money on the backs of our community partners or our PTOs, but rather to make sure that we are covering the costs, especially related to salaries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Puglisi. Mayor Cahill.
I just ask quickly, what is the total universe of potential customers? Or maybe said a different way, is there a list of who are eligible groups to look to us for transportation?
We are not restricted in our ability to provide transportation to other groups beyond the limitations of our first and foremost priority being providing transportation to Beverly Public Schools students to and from school, right? That's our first and foremost responsibility. So if somebody said, I would love for you to shuttle me and my group of friends somewhere, we potentially could, provided that we had availability. Our insurance does not provide, our insurance provider does not limit who we can transport. So it's really a matter of availability.
Right, but I'm wondering if we should have the ability to say, no, your particular group is not a group that, we have our fleet, it's a resource. We shouldn't kind of indiscriminately have it out for hire, because a lot of it, there are plenty of wonderful people who might want to rent the vehicles, but that doesn't really serve a purpose for our needs. So if we don't have a rational way of differentiating, then maybe it's not ready, and do we need to do this tonight if there's more to do on that front?
So are you speaking to perhaps similar to our building rental procedures and policies where there is a price differential to provide transportation or building rental access at no cost to community groups or groups that are primarily Beverly students when there is, for the space, not the custodial fee, of course, because there's, personnel costs incurred there, whereas there are higher fees set for private groups?
Possibly,
So
but the buildings are a little more durable than the buses. So, we may even want to say that beyond a certain use, we're not interested. You see?
So I can speak to, again, in the world of possibilities, right? We do not presently limit who could, but I can speak to who has been accessing this availability, and it really is our field trips, Mayor's Literacy Program, students at the Kevin O'Grady School, Beverly Rec Department, district student groups, as well as other community events. So Touch a Truck, the Christmas parade transportation, again, that's, transportation for student groups, things like that. So the number of private, truly private use is minimal, if at all.
May I please contribute an additional example? Tomorrow, our high school band, maybe the jazz band, will get transported to Rotary, and
gonna be
they'll
there early.
perform for Rotary. And that is an example of this trip, of a trip that will happen under this structure.
I wanted to offer, if you do consider in the future putting limits on this for private groups, that we just be very cognizant of our neighboring districts and how kind they have been to us to lend us their drivers and buses when we are short for athletics and et cetera. Seen many district names taking our student athletes where they needed to be on time. So just be very careful, and if you do put any restrictions, that we are kind to our neighbors because they are kind to us. Dr. Silva, did I also see your hand? You're all set? All set? Mayor
I
Cahill.
would suggest that we should have some guidelines for eligibility to request the use of our vehicles and our drivers, et cetera. So,
Ms. Bisnick?
We have groups that are overpaying now, and I would like to suggest that we move this portion forward and take the action item of putting something like you're asking for in place.
I love it. I love it. That makes good sense.
To whom do we think that action item would fall?
Well, I think, I guess I'd suggest maybe it becomes an agenda item in a meeting in the new term.
Well, yes, clearly, seeing as though this is our last meeting of this term, how about name a subcommittee? Do you think that's do we think that's an FNF issue? All right.
probably is, yeah.
I'm looking over there because I put some other things on a future FNF agenda. So can we please add this to a future FNF?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So we have a motion on the table by Dr. Silva, seconded by Ms. Coelho, to adopt this new rate structure. And then there's the parenthetical that FNF will take this up in the new term. Okay. Are we ready to call? Okay. Mayor Cahill?
Yes.
Kim Coelho?
Yes.
Ken-Ann McKenzie DeFranza?
Yes.
Karen Robinson?
Yes.
Jeffrey Silva?
Yes.
Lauren DeVisnik?
Yes.
And Rachel Eagle, yes. The motion passes.
Sorry. The next item is set gifts to schools. Let's see if I can scroll. All right. For a total of $299.48.
I'd
So-
like to make, oh,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'd like to make the motion to accept with gratitude.
I love that you always say that.
Second.
Thanks. Are there any questions? Call the roll. Mayor Cahill?
Yes.
Ms. Coelho?
Yes.
Dr. McKenzie DeFranza?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Bisnick?
Yes.
And Ms. Abel, yes. 7-0 with thanks.
Our next item is acceptance of a new student activity account. So each, like the class of 2026, every group has its own little bank account set up so that we keep the money separate. And we're trying to be really good about every year cleaning those up, getting rid of old ones, starting new ones. And so there will be a field trip to France. No, you may not go, Mr. Cahill. And so the request is FNF recommends approval of this student activity account.
Motion.
Thank you, Dr. Silva.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Coelho. Any discussion? Call the roll. Mayor Cahill?
Yes.
Ms. Ms. Coelho?
Yes.
Dr. McKenzie
Little
DeFranza?
holiday joy.
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Bisnick?
Yes.
And Ms. Abel, yes. It
Okay.
passes.
We're also bringing forward a budget transfer, and will say during the earlier meeting, we talked about the fact that we are transferring money out of the unemployment compensation line item to bolster our ability to pay our electric bills in two different cost centers. And the fact of the matter is, we are confident that we have the money to transfer out of unemployment because of the people who were downsized last year. All were reemployed somewhere else. So we're not paying any unemployment for any of those individuals. And so that was kind of the discussion at our meeting.
I will make a motion to approve this transfer.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Coelho. Is there any discussion? I got to do the roll. Mayor Cahill.
Yes.
Ms. Coelho.
Yes.
Sorry, Dr. Mackenzie DeFranza.
Yes.
Ms. Robinson. Ms. Robinson.
Yes, sorry.
Thanks. Dr. Silva.
Yes.
Ms. Visnick.
Yes.
And Ms. Abel, yes, 7-0.
Okay, there's one more, right? There's a fund transfer. Hold
Could I,
please.
could I ask Emma to explain so for people that are listening to this for the first time may think it strange that we're moving unemployment funds for paying electricity bills. And so I think it might be good to explain why that is happening.
Sure. Emma, are you perhaps referring to some of the conversation we had earlier?
Yeah,
Okay,
just-
perfect. I just want to make sure that I
Yeah.
am where you are. And so one thing that is notable is that there was a period of time a while ago in which it was very affordable to be able to purchase energy credits, and so the city did so. And part of that, what that resulted in was a small bank of these credits that we had been able to tap into to continue to offset our utility costs in future months. When the district underwent the LED conversion that it did last winter and spring at no out-of-pocket dollar costs and supported by a great number of utility credits on the city side as well. A portion of that was offset by the existing utility credits on our bills on the school accounts, and so it had depleted that bank of funds. And so where we had been in prior budget years, seeing more of a budget savings relative to this existing bank of credits, those no longer exist, and so we are seeing a little bit of higher budget utility costs.
Thank you for that,
Thank you.
Ms. Puglisi. And Ms. Visnick, one more?
Yes, I stopped sharing. Sorry, let me go back to sharing. The last item that F&F is bringing forward is a fund transfer, which is different than, very similar, but slightly different than a budget transfer. And I'm trying to enlarge this a little bit, but basically it says we are asking to transfer $179,135.54 out of our school transportation revolving account into an account, a general fund account. And the reason why we're making this transfer is because we have, through a conglomeration of grants, acquired 5 new large electric buses and 3 small electric buses. And most of their infrastructure, eventually it'll be all of their infrastructure that will allow them to charge, including 5 charging stations that will provide V2X capabilities at the bus depot over here. And so for this amount of money, $179,135.54, we will have charging stations and 5 large and 3 small buses. It's a fantastic deal. Yes, Miss Emma?
I just wanted to note that the funds are being transferred to a capital budget or a capital project fund, which is distinctly different than the general fund. So in the world of fund accounting, where Bryant and Carol and our new friend Donna and I live, it's distinctly different than the general fund. So I just wanted to clarify.
Sorry. Okay. So it's but the funds are being transferred out of transportation revolving to pay for, in essence, these 8 buses and their charging stations. And I just love the fact that for $179,000, we have 8 brand-new electric buses. That's really the happy point that I wanted to
Can
make.
you do the rest of the money? Or do you want me to?
I said through a conglomeration of grants, but sure, you may.
Well, it's about 2.9 million in a federal EPA grant and a state Mass CEC Clean Energy Center grant.
And some tax credits.
And then, and then at least a couple $100,000 in tax credits. We think it'll be more. Yeah.
Ms. Puglisi, anything else?
Oh, no, I was just going to share. So it was 1.45 from the EPA, 1.46 from SCEC, and then additional tax credits as well.
Great. I'd like to make a motion that this committee approve the fund transfer from the transportation revolving account to the capital improvements account. Is that the right name, Ms. Puglisi? Okay,
So, second.
thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Are there any more comments or questions? I will call the roll. Mayor Cahill,
Yes.
Kim Coelho,
Yes.
and Ann McKenzie DeFranza,
Yes.
Karen Robinson,
Yes.
Jeffrey Silva,
Yes.
Lorinda Visnick,
Yes.
Rachel Abel, yes. Passes 7-0, 8:44 PM. We need
That's my
to flip
last
to
one.
the second side of the agenda. I will explain this as best as I am able. Oh, I am able. There we go. Okay. The school committee will be having 2 executive sessions this evening. This first one is intended to be brief, and we will return to open session. So the chair is making a motion now to vote to meet in a brief executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for purpose number 7. Is this the right one? No, this is not the right one. We are not doing purpose number 7. It's supposed to be purpose number 3. Am I
Second.
Member,
Yeah.
President Abel, I believe it's listed under executive session number 6.
Oh, am I reading in the wrong section? Okay, so yeah, purpose number, thank you. Purpose number 3, but this is returning to open session. So it's supposed to say purpose number 3, which is to discuss strategy with respect to and preparation for collective bargaining with the AFSCME Council Local Council 93, Local 2894, which is the lunch monitors. And we will return to open session, purpose 3. So I've made that motion.
Are we reviewing any minutes in there?
At the second one, we will do that.
Okay, so that's the error in
Yes,
this.
yes, that's the error. We're not going to review the
Part
minutes.
A shouldn't be up there. Okay,
Yeah.
just checking.
Yes,
Second.
thank you. I will call the roll. Mayor Cahill?
Yes.
Kim Coelho?
Yes.
Ann McKenzie DeFranza?
Yes.
Karen Robinson?
Yes.
Jeffrey Silva?
Yes.
Lorinda Visnick?
Yes.
And Rachel Abel, yes. Okay, we're going to take a brief recess. BevCam will be right back. Please put us on music hold.
Are we just going to walk into a
Let-
different room?
Let's step into that room and maybe our newly elected friends can Okay, we are back in open session. Thank you, everyone, for allowing us that brief executive session. The chair is going to make a motion that the school committee ratify 2 brand-new collective bargaining agreements. And I want to say in a non-precedent setting way, because this is our last regularly scheduled meeting of this year and of this configuration, this term for the school committee. We are going to ratify 2 CBAs for our American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, also known as AFSCME bargaining unit under State Council 93, Local 2894, pending our vote. With our lunch monitors, there are 2 collective bargaining agreements included in this motion. The first is for our time period of December 1st, 2025, through the end of this fiscal year, which is June 30th, 2026. And the second is for a 3-year CBA starting July 1st, 2026, running through June 30th, 2029. So the chair is making a motion that we vote to ratify these 2 brand-new collective bargaining agreements with a new AFSCME group that's comprised of our lunch monitors. I'm looking for a second.
Second?
Thank you, Dr. Silva. This is an opportunity for any members to ask questions. Otherwise, I will call the roll. Seeing no questions, I'll call the roll. Mayor Cahill.
Yes.
Kim Coelho.
Yes.
Kenan Mackenzie DeFranza.
Yes.
Karen Robinson.
Yes.
Jeffrey Silva.
Yes.
Lorinda Visnick.
Yes.
And Rachel Abel, yes. We will work with central office to have a copy of these CBAs sent around for the school committee's electronic signature in the morning, and we will let the AFSCME unit know. I believe their intention is to ratify on Friday, and I appreciate your efforts on that. Next, we'll return to our agenda. Upcoming meetings and dates, I will just make sure that those newly elected and those returning know that on January 5th, you'll have inauguration at Beverly High School. And I'm sure that Dr. Cushing will help you set an open meeting for your organization meeting according to the policies. And with that, the final action item for us this evening is a second executive session. This is to vote to meet in executive session for reason number 7 and number 3. 7 is to review and approve the executive session minutes from our executive session meeting December 10, 2025. And purpose 3, discuss strategy with respect to and preparation for collective bargaining with BTA units A and C, AFSCME Council 93, Local 2894, and the AFSFA, because an open discussion may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee and not to return to open session. So that's my motion.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Visnick, and I'll call the roll quickly. Mayor Cahill.
Yes.
Kim Coelho. Kenan Mackenzie DeFranza.
Yes.
Karen Robinson. Jeffrey Silva.
Yes.
Lorinda Visnick. Rachel
Yes.
Abel. Okay, thank you, members of the public. Thank you, BevCam. We are now going into executive session, and we will not return to open session. Have a great holiday season and New Year.